a couple of studies, and actually I think there's more than a couple. There's been probably half a dozen where they've done this research to measure concordance, arousal concordance, and non-concordance. So they bring people into a lab and they hook up various kinds of devices to measure genital arousal. And it could be like something, well, I don't need to get into details, but they have different types of measurements of measuring arousal. Some of them have proven to be more accurate than others. They've also even done MRIs while these experiments are happening. So they do that, and then they show a variety of different kinds of films, like just normal, like the sunset and the waves crashing, and then they show some porn, and then they show different kinds of porn. And while you're sitting there, while the subjects are sitting there, they they have a dial, and as they're feeling turned on, they turn the dial up, and as if they're not turned on, they turn the dial down. And so they've conducted a number of these experiments. And generally speaking, men, they have arousal concordance approximately half the time, which also means half the time they're experiencing non-concordance, meaning their genitals aren't reacting to what they feel. Like if they're feeling horny, but their genitals aren't reacting, or vice versa, that's they're having the disconnect. And with women, this was shocking to me. I mean, it still is. Only 10% of the time are women experiencing concordance. And not only that, so that means 90% of the time they're experiencing non-concordance. And again, this is in the lab. So, you have to take that with a grain of salt, whether that's exactly how it works in the real world. But the other thing about women, so men were pretty consistent in that if men associate themselves as heterosexual and they're watching heterosexual porn or girl on girl porn, they're generally getting an erection. Whereas, or a gay man, and he's watching gay porn, he's generally having concordance during those kinds of um, scenes, and then not being aroused by other things, other kinds of porn. Whereas women, they can't really figure out what turns us on or turns us off. We seem to react to a lot of Dr. Nagoski refers to as, like, Emily Nagoski refers to it as sexually relevant versus sexually appealing. So women react to a lot of things that are sexually relevant, but not but but it's not sexually appealing. And the example that's used in the research that got a lot of press along, it's been a number of years in the New York Times, and the researcher Meredith Chivers was quoted in there about some of these studies. They were showing, I think it's a kind of monkey, bonobos. I hope I'm saying that right. So they showed this bonobo porn, and it's not porn. They showed monkeys having sex, and men, that didn't turn them on. They didn't find it. They were having concordance. Their genitals weren't doing anything, and they also said they weren't turned on. Whereas women, they they don't find that appealing. That doesn't turn them on, and yet their genitals were in some way reacting. So that's interesting, right? So women's genitals seem to react to a lot of different things, whereas men's are more specific. But women's genitals are also um precise in the way that only things that are sexually relevant seem to create the genital response. So like when women are watching, the sunrise or the waves, they're experiencing concordance in those kinds of situations where they're not turned on and their genitals aren't doing anything. But it was the other way with some of the other things. And so that's an interesting, I just think that's so interesting. And And here we have, so it's happening. So not arousal non-concordance. It's normal. It's happening to all of us all the time. And yet, we take that personally when we're getting frisky with our partners and they aren't, you know, their vaginas aren't lubricating, or, your partner's not getting an erection and you're thinking, "Oh, you must not think I'm sexy. You don't want to make love to me," when really probably all that's happening is non-concordance and it's normal and it's happening to everybody, and we just need to remove the shame about that, the guilt. We need to not take something personally that isn't personal. It's just not personal. And unfortunately, like almost every society, media, they continue to perpetuate this idea that if a woman is lubricating, it means she's turned on. Or if a man has an erection, it means he's, turned on, and they're horny. They want to have sex. They're sexually aroused. They're, mind and body all in. But it's just not true. A good example, again, just to use myself as an example, when I go get bikini waxes, which hurts like a motherfuck, like tears come out of my eyes and I'm gritting my teeth, and um sometimes I lubricate, and there's nothing sexy about that at all. It's awful. In fact, I should go back to shaving or something. But Patty likes it like that, and I like it when Patty likes it like that, so I'll probably keep waxing. But it is awful. I lubricate during that, and that is really, it's awkward, but it's arousal non-concordance. There's nothing that I'm enjoying about that.